3 Points of Articulation podcast. Here comes the ads, and here comes the flasher. Tasty says, listen. I don't know where to go after that. Welcome to the 3 Points of Articulation podcast. I'm your host, the Big Tasty, Jamie Wills, joined, as per usual, by Adam the Wrestling Man.
Hello, boys. What are we doing on September the 3rd and 4th, 2022?
Oh, I didn't expect this question.
Need to know. What are we
Go
doing?
on. What are we doing on that date?
Well, it's penciled in as an unknown pay-per-view on WWE's new schedule with a very big rumour about it being UK-based. Would we be going?
Well, the other voice that you hear is Jonny Flashback. Adam Flash Forward. Yeah, there's the rumours going around that we're going to have the UK-based pay-per-view around that sort of date. It's a bit annoying that SummerSlam is end of July before that. Missed a trick there, didn't they? But what can you do?
Yeah, if that's certainly going to be true, September's a weird month, especially because you may think they would do like an outdoor venue, a football stadium or something like that, and the weather could be a bit more iffy in September than it is in August. And obviously, with it being a 20-year anniversary, SummerSlam 30, that would have been more apt, wouldn't you think?
Would it be SummerSlam, or have they
already
definitely said SummerSlam's on a different date?
Yes.
SummerSlam. I can't remember the city. I think it was... No, it escaped me.
It was not London, anyway. It was the,
Maybe it'll be SummerSlam Backlash.
Oh, God.
But yeah, we're talking about Jonny's wrestling debut in this episode today. Was this past weekend? A big flashback at the bottom there had his wrestling debut. So we go in depth into that. A little break it down segment on there. We also got loads of news, pickups, as well as our retro review as per normal, boys, haven't we?
Yeah.
Let's just get started with the news then, shall we? Let's treat ourselves. See
News.
All I needed was another day, and all I ever knew. It is news. News is World Order, boys. For this week, we've got a bit of a mixed bag, should we say? A bit of AEW, a bit of Chella, and a bit of some other good stuff as well. Let's start with the AEW, shall we? And the figure reveals for Series 7, I believe. Jonny, I know you haven't had a full-on look at these figures. Adam, have you had a little look at the full set yet?
I have indeed.
Lovely stuff. Well, Jonny, I can talk you through them whilst we go through them, just for a treat. We'll start with the Young Bucks, because they come as a pair, even though they're individual figures. Matt and Nick Jackson in a bit of dark blue with a bit of gold underneath it and their normal sort of flamboyant attires. Adam, fan of these figures?
I looked at them for about 0.5 seconds. I didn't think you were going to start with the weak ones that have been released 900 million times already out of the set. They look like the Young Bucks.
So there we go. Jonny, if you didn't know what they look like now, I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I've heard they're not as good as maybe, was it Series 3?
No.
So I don't know if it's an upgrade or a downgrade.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a downgrade personally. I think the Series 3 figures are really good. I quite like the Series 3. Didn't need them again for a good while, but not an iconic attire for me personally. But yeah, I thought I'd start with a week, and then that way we could sort of build our way up. Like FTR, for example, has come to now. Both in their red bomber jackets with their white brainbuster-esque attire, I'll say. Jonny, have you had a little extended peek at these?
I know I've seen all of them at some point, but I've only just glanced at them and I haven't really looked at them recently. I did hear that they've got Adam's favourite sort of gripe with a figure is that they've got a certain picture on the back, but it doesn't match the figure inside the box. I believe it was pictured with the attire they wore against the Young Bucks. I think they were in green on that occasion,
right?
And obviously the figure is in the white. So I think people are a bit up in arms about that, as would Adam be.
Yeah, it's just silly, isn't it? Just no need for it.
It would have made sense as well with having Young Bucks in the same series as well, because I think the Young Bucks are in that attire that they faced FTR. Is that right?
Yeah, well, is it on how much pay-per-view it was? It wasn't Double or Nothing, was it, last year? Full Gear.
Full Gear, I think.
Yeah. Well, they're in their Full Gear, to be fair. But yeah, they're in their title winning one against FTR, whereas FTR in their title losing one, I think, aren't they?
No, that's the point I'm making. They weren't in
They
that
should
attire.
be in the green one.
Yeah, they probably should have been, yeah.
Well, the back of the box, they made a few mistakes on those before, haven't they? I think Santana had an issue. Ortiz, one of the two, had the date wrong. Bit more care in there would be nice, wouldn't it?
I think Harwood also I was called Hardwood or something like that originally. So they had a running change on that.
They have. Nyla Rose is up next. She's also the chase for the series as well. So you get the orange, which is the chase, one of 5,000, and you get the original, which is the sort of dark red and black Nyla Rose in there. I mean, as far as the chase goes, the orange stands out a bit more. It's just not. No extra accessories with it. There's not a lot that makes you want to chase it, is there? I don't think personally. Adam?
I probably disagree with you there. I don't think this one needs accessories. I think the fact that it's a debut one and the fact that it is quite big and quite detailed as far as the attire goes. The orange one definitely pops a lot more than the other one, but the other one is the classic attire, so it depends what kind of fan you are when you're looking at it. It is a bit garish, like the head is absolutely huge. So I'm waiting to see it in real life to see if it goes like that. You didn't actually come to me for FTR, so they look amazing.
Oh.
In their red jackets, they definitely really pop, and it stands them out from the revival kind of figures that were the boring NXT Takeover ones that we got from WWE. So I'm a big fan of that, even with what we spoke about with the back of the packet.
I have seen the chase now, the jacks on eBay from one of those naughty sellers from Australia, in quotation marks. So I have seen that figure. It does look it doesn't look right. It doesn't look like her, I don't think. So I'm not a fan of that figure, at least.
I think the face is meant to be very exaggerated because it is pulling a kind of open mouth pose. So I think it might be better in real life than we're seeing. I'm crossing my fingers.
Fair enough.
It does look a bit like the female gremlin. No offense to Nyla Rose, but the figure does anyway.
No offense to gremlins, eh?
I really thought you were going to say that as well.
No, I would never say that. This day and age, we get pulled off YouTube. Better than being pulled off in general. Lance Archer is last. He's also the rare, one of 3,000. Which, as I discussed before, they're going to change it from the 500 and 1,000 to 3,000 and 5,000. So a bit more plentiful, these ones. So the original has the standard black Lance Archer trousers with the red belt, and the chase is silver with a bit of red markings around as well. Mohawk looks good. Jonny, let's come to you.
I think I've seen it briefly. It's certainly the pick of the bunch from the figures, the series, I would say. So, yeah, done all right. That looks a bit big, but so did Dustin. So, scale is a bit of an issue still.
Yeah, it looks absolutely huge, this one. It kind of reminds me about the things that I don't like about the Ultimate Edition figures. The body, the shape of the body just looks really weird. I can't even decide what's wrong with it. It's either too tall or it's too bulky in the frame, in the bottom of the frame. But either way, the face is good, but that's about it for me. So I'll have to see that one close up.
I mean, he is what, 6'10" compared to the other guys in the AEW roster. So you just sort of want him to tower over the rest.
Yeah.
I don't know what scale's going to be. I'll have to see when we get it. But if you're standing next to a Jungle Boy, you're going to want him to be 10 inches taller.
Yeah, it's more about how his body actually looks, I think, rather than the
I know what
height.
you mean.
No.
Well, it's very rare nowadays you see a AEW figure with its top off in the packaging. Normally they come with a T-shirt or an accessory to hide that in the box. All I can think of as recent times has been Jungle Boy. The rest seem to have some sort of T-shirt or a jacket to cover the atrocious body.
Pac.
Yeah, Jungle Boy. Yeah.
Pac looked really good in terms of the body. I think it's fitting well, but there is some that don't.
Pac's a very underrated figure.
Pac had to cover the atrocious face.
Yeah, that as well. Yeah, I think the Pac body looks really good in real life, obviously, and figure form. It's an incredible shape. Is our Neville. And we've also, speaking of packs, we've got the title belt pack that we also come with. A very loose connection. The AEW World title, the TNT title, and the tag titles. No room for the women's apparently in there, but. It's going to be a point we're going to get a lot of titles on the secondary market. This is going to add to that, I think. Jonny, let's come to you on this because I know that you like your belts.
Yeah, this is absolutely pointless because they're releasing belts willy-nilly with anyone. I think almost every women's figures come with the women's belt, so at least they haven't re-released that. There's a lot of world titles have already come out, and the tag team titles are looking to come out almost every series as well, especially with these double packs that have been released. So this pack is really, it's not a great idea. And I'm just imagining they're going to overproduce them so much as well. Just like everything else they seem to do, they just keep coming back. It's like you still seeing Series 2 showing up in stores again.
Is overproducing belts a bad thing as far as wanting to get kids involved in the figures? Because kids love belts. You know, you go back to Galoob, WCW, they all had a belt. You know, it's one of the things I loved as a kid is getting loads of those belts and pretending they were this, pretending they were that. I'm not sure it's a bad thing for kids. It is for collectors, but maybe not for kids.
If I'm speaking as a kid, I would only want one of each belt. I don't need 20 million of the same belts. There's no need. It'll be one world champion. Obviously, you need 2 your tag belts, but everything else, I'll be absolutely fine with having one. And also screw the kids. I don't care.
Exciting times in the Fenton household at Christmas.
Well, he's not into them yet. I probably can't see them ever being that way because of the way technology is. And I think we've had this conversation before. That toys are becoming less and less for kids.
Yeah.
Sad as it is.
I think.
Which version of the TNT title is it, please? Because I've only glanced at these.
It is Brody Lee's picture on the back of it, so it's like the red with the silver.
It's the one that came with Cody, the unfinished.
Yeah.
The unfinished one. Yeah. I'm not sure I agree with that. Maybe if they're going to do a belt pack, it should have been the proper one.
To be fair, on the back of the box, it's got a picture of the finished title with Brody Lee holding it with the TNT in gold on the writing. But in the actual box, it's got the unfinished title that Mike Tyson, whoever it was, held.
Yep. More furthers my point of this being worthless. Do not stockpile these.
No, you're losing money. So I think we come from generations of children who were starved with belts when I was a kid. I think I only had the $1 million belt as a child, so I think they've definitely been spoiled for belts nowadays, haven't they? Is my 2 pence on the matter. That's it for AEW news for now. We'll switch over to WWE with no figure reveals or anything like that, but there's been some big news regarding Mattel and WWE that have signed an extended global partnership, apparently extended for 5 years. So a big extension on that. Adam, it's come to you. Is it a happy news?
Yeah, definitely. Mattel have really stepped up their game as far as the figure releases. When you compare it to kind of later stages of Jakks, and you kind of which one's better, it's Mattel by an absolute mile. They've also coming up with some ideas, such as the ring, the not Attitude Era, the other one.
New gen.
You can get the new generation. That's it. And you know, it's onwards and upwards. Everywhere you go, you can get hold of decent things. Coming up with decent ideas for them. They look good. The packaging's good. Thumbs up from me.
Yeah, it's a yes and a slight no from me. The yes being, of course, these are probably the best figures ever produced by any company throughout the years. So there's no danger in those really being overtook. And I'm seeing by Jazzwares that they're getting there, but they're not quite at the same level. And see where you're saying we're going to be able to build all these like a roster, and obviously we're getting new ones all the time, especially legends. You can always add to those legends. What worries me is that they've been releasing these figures for 10 years, and that they're just and as we've seen already, they're re-releasing figures, they're updating them, they're putting new scans on them, but still releasing the same figure. The Undertaker in his purple and even the grey sort of elite form has been re-released. The purple one was absolutely shocking, by the way. So at least there's not all upgrades. Same from The Rock, Stone Cold. They're basically the same things getting re-released all the time, and with maybe a better or new scan. Just worry there's going to get overrun with too many of the same characters and the same attires being re-released.
I think if you moved to a new Mattel, a new version of Mattel, then you'd get the same characters over and over again, though, wouldn't you? In tenfold, if you moved to a different company in the same attires.
Yeah, I mean, what you're seeing with the Jacks is that they've got this certain amount of figures that's set. You're never going to get any more. You could say the same for that Mattel, and then they stopped, and then this new company takes over, then they produce their new ones, so it's a brand new collection in a way. But I am sort of still on board with this, certainly as much as 70% in favour of it. So it is a good thing. Mainly, I'm just sort of adding something extra to the conversation that maybe people aren't thinking about.
I just don't know who else could possibly take it over. And obviously, no one. I don't think the company's going to do a better job than Mattel have done. But I don't know anyone. I can't think of a toy company nowadays that would take it on and have the clout to do it.
Well, there is toy companies. There's Hasbro. Is a big one, of course.
They've had their shot, haven't they?
Well, that was 30 years ago, and maybe they're creating on a new scale. You never know what you could get.
Yeah, in scale with Barbie and Action Man.
And you never know with it being, say if it was Hasbro, they might have been able to re-release the figures again if they had the rights to the characters. Re-release a 1, 2, 3 kid, just as it was back in the day.
Hooray! More retros. But yeah, I think all in all, I can't see a company taking it over from Mattel and doing as good a job as they. I think they've got it on lock, should we say? But not to say that in 5 years' time we could have a conversation about a new company come up. Fig Watts might come out of nowhere and take the line over again. You never know.
Yes, there's a lot of meat on that bone to discuss, but I guess we'll leave it at that.
But yeah, speaking of retro lines, Chella Toys have had a couple of announcements. We had the Hollywood Nova to complete the BWO that we discussed the other week. Very colourful figure. Adam, let's come to you.
Yeah, it was coming, wasn't it? We all knew that one was coming, so the sooner the better that they kind of get it released, and then we can look forward to another kind of line of them. Just brilliant. Really kind of accurate with the look that he had. I think he is obviously the least known member of the BWO. I don't think it'll be the least sold figure. I think it'll sell just as well as Meanie and Stevie Richards. It's a good plan in putting him last. We need a Simon Dean.
We don't. We'll stick with that just so he can be posed with his buddies from BWO. Even though I'm not that familiar with them, they're still looking like good figures.
Yeah, there's a market for them. You've got a crossover from old ECW fans as well as completists from Chella. So they've created quite the buzz for themselves, I'd say. Not sure how, but they have. Luna Vachon is next. It's my perfect timing. This was the figure image was released shortly after the Dark Side of the Ring documentary. Great signing, great timing. Jonny, let's come to you first.
I think it's an excellent signing, very tight character. The drawing obviously is very good. We know Brian is an amazing artist. I maybe worry about the style of the figure. It doesn't look anything like an original Hasbro. It just seems to be. I would maybe say it's a bit like those ones that were released with the BCAs. You know, like the is it Sable and Marlena and things like that.
Yeah, manager series.
Yeah, so
Side.
I don't know if they could have done a different sort of move action for her rather than the one they decided to base it on.
Yeah, me and Jono were talking about it, and I just automatically assumed from the picture that it was one of the 6-inch, 7-inch series that they were doing, because I don't know, I think it looks a bit thin and a bit frail, and it looks like a normal Mattel type of figure to me. So it'll be very interesting to see how it turns out.
Yeah, I mean, fingers crossed. Obviously, it's in scale with your Mattel, your Hasbro Bam Bam. That's what everyone's waiting for, aren't they? But it's going to sell anyway, isn't it? Regardless of what shape it's in. But yeah, that's what you mean, though. It doesn't look as plump, should we say, as the normal Hasbro. Dumpy.
Could be the word.
Yeah, think of another word. Yeah, so Major Pod had their live show last week, Live 10. They revealed the Major Bendy's Series 2. We covered Series 1 before, so it's only fair. Brian Pillman is first up. He seems to have signed a contract with Zombie Taylor as well as the Major Pod, which seems like a formality these days. Looks quite toyetic. Jonny, let's come to you firstly on this one.
Sorry, I didn't see the pictures of it. I just thought they would release sort of who was going to be in the series.
Oh, right. I can fill you guys in.
What's your thoughts, Jamie?
My thoughts is that his studded jacket and his sort of smiley face, half emoji, half sort of skull, looks great. Long hair, and it's a toyetic figure. As toyetic as you can do with Brian Pillman.
I'd say, Jamie, talk us through all four, because they're very toyetic figures. I've seen the pictures very briefly. I'm not into Bendhams, Bendies, whatever you want to call them at all. Neither was anybody else, 2 months ago. But all of a sudden, because Ryder and Hawkins are onto it, everyone's suddenly going, oh, I actually quite like Bendies. And the markets can become available for them again. They are very toyetic figures. They're doing stuff like this very, very well as a company. Good choices.
The views of Adam Hanslip are not the views of the 3 Points of Articulation podcast, just for any viewers out there that like Bendhams. Yeah, so Danhausen is up first, normal Danhausen clothes. Nick Gage is up next because why not? And Brian Clark is up next, weirdly under the name Brian Clark, but in the Adam Bomb attire, even though he's got the license for Adam Bomb, which is weird. But yeah, when I interviewed Brian, we had a conversation about it, and I said to him about the Bendy's line and about the Bendham figure that was never released, because that's sort of the one that everyone talked about as that was advertised and never released. And he said that he had no idea about it, but I knew that he had an interview with the Major Pod guys a few weeks before me, and I said, "Oh, have they mentioned about their Bendy's line yet?" And he said, "Oh, maybe." So I thought this one was coming with inside intel.
I do think it's a very smart choice of a lineup. Everyone's quite topical at the moment, and Brian Clark himself is all over, social media, especially in the figure world. So the other three have been on the dark side of the ring recently. Sorry, the other two. Obviously, Danhausen is making waves in the indie scene, so they've got a smart lineup there. I think they're quite clever in the way they've picked those.
Yeah, I imagine that Dink would come relatively soon, truth be told. Wouldn't surprise me. And Zombie Sailor has signed Tajiri. No figures yet, just a video of him announcing that.
The old video of announcements. That's all we're getting at the moment, isn't it?
It is all we're getting. Yeah, I'm not sure why. You could just write a thing saying... Because Tajiri was wearing a hat as well. Wasn't even in ring attire. I didn't know what it was. I just thought it was just a man until at the bottom it said this is Tajiri. And I was like, oh, it's Tajiri.
You should at least really have like some sort of concept drawing of it when you release it, like like Chella do.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a it's a flat announcement. It seems. Oh, I've just went and signed this guy, but we've got nothing to show you. Wait, just be patient. Get something to show us first.
Well, just a figure released would be nice, if I'm honest. Would be a bloody treat if he could release a figure. It's all fart and no poo so far, isn't it? So next up, we've got Squared Circle Toys, which I've been speaking to recently, speaking to Dan from Squared Circle Toys, and hopefully get him in for an interview to discuss it. But their Kickstarter is live now, which is good for the Ringside Chaos one there. So we've discussed sort of Kickstarters and different ways of pre-ordering and so on. Have you guys had a look at the images for these?
Yeah, why don't you talk us through what they are first and let the listeners know what's available in the package.
So we got the event staff in yellow, event staff in black, a black pinstripe referee, a referee with bow tie. I'm now going to run you through all the different pledges and so on that you can get. So $30 gets you a modern referee with 30 points of articulation, 10 times better than us. You can also, another choice is a retro referee, which is one with the bow tie. You get the event staff, security guard. Yes.
I'll stop you there. You might be just running through a list of stuff that you're going to repeat over and over, but I see what you mean. It's $30 a figure, essentially, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can pick and choose which ones you want, or you could get one of each. There's different levels of.
Building up to is you can either pre-order just one figure, so you can pay $30 and get the one figure, or you can do the one where you get 2 or 3 or 4 and so on. There's also other things that you can unlock with it, so you can pick your poison and pick whichever 4 you want, or you can get like an 8-pack, so you can get 4 security guards, 2 referees and so on. The most exciting thing is you can get a custom head sculpt of yourself for a mere $800, which I find quite funny. You can, so basically, if you pay $800, which has 0 backers so far, you can get a custom head sculpt of your likeness. It'll be compatible with their Ringside Chaos figures, so you can put them on a body of your personal choice. Provide a photo for reference.
Absolutely love that idea. Absolutely hate the cost. There must be some way of keeping that cost down a little bit there. Must be.
Yeah.
I have no idea about that, but it's probably just something you threw in as like something to raise money. Might get someone with a bit of cash behind them.
But you've got 3D, you've got customizers these days that do 3D scanning and 3D printing, and there's absolutely no chance it's going to cost a lot less than that, a lot more than that. If you think about the people that do pledges as customizers, it tends to be like we need 15 people to pledge $10 or $20 each. And that way we get a 3D printed scan of somebody. So therefore, if you think about that cost equated to one of your own.
Of a famous wrestler, Adam, not just some jabroni off the street with a spare 800 to go.
But they'd still have to pay that money from the pledges to actually create the scan.
Yeah. So we are 3 points of articulation are promoting this very heavily. So please invest your money. Give them a shot. Don't be put off by the $800 if you really do want your own head sculpt.
It's a great idea.
It is.
It's only £582. Compared, $800 can sell more. It's converted to pounds.
And you got to pay shipping on top of that, though.
Yeah, we don't talk about shipping. Just go and pick it up. Probably cheaper.
So the unlockables, Jamie, talk us through those.
So let's have a look at the unlockables. So I had them saved here. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll just be here.
I remember a couple of them. I think we had a doctor, or maybe a medic. It was a Luke, the referee.
So we've got police detective. He looks a lot like Sergeant Dokes from Dexter. If you guys have watched that. He's unlockable at $107,000. As a medic, who's available at 100. If you have to pay this much money, this is how much they have to raise. $120,000. A timekeeper, which looks quite fun. The timekeeper is at $130,000. Lucha referee is at $140,000, and the retro camera operator is $150,000. Looks a lot like a young Adam Handslip as well. The retro camera operator. You need to get your own head scalped, Adam. Fun.
Yeah. Another thing that is what I've seen about this is that you can just, although it is $30 a figure, you can give them more if you wish. So if you want to really help them, you can pledge more than the $30 for that figure. Just so people are aware of that.
Or you can give less. You can give $10 if you just have the $10. You get nothing. You get absolutely zilch. But nice to be nice sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah. To be honest, I think if this was something based in UK and it wasn't, I think it's $20 for one figure shipped and up to $120 if you want a few. I think it's four or something. So the shipping is off-putting for us over here. But I think if it was something based in UK and the shipping cost was down, I'd probably backed it and wished them well. Even though it's something that I'm not sort of interested in myself anymore. I don't have an arena yet, so I've got no use for those.
I guess it's that sort of thing though. Like if a shop, say Fig Pop Shop for example, if they backed it and they bought an X amount and said they backed it for $1,000 or something and got a big shipment in of them, then obviously they're going to pay shipping once, then distribute it from there. So it's possible.
Although you say pay shipping once, I don't know what it would be if they add 50 figures into a package. It's not going to be $120. It's going to be significantly more on that. So.
Yeah, I think they'd have to have some kind of proper agreement with the company maybe to try and reduce that cost. You never know.
But it is an idea, and it would be something that maybe if someone is quite passionate about the project, they could invest a bit into it.
Yeah,
but you probably will have to sell the figures themselves for £30-35 each.
So. They look decent figures, don't they? And I quite like the fact that they've used the BCA logo for it as well, which is always strong to my heart. So that's it for the news. So yeah, we'll hopefully get Dan on at some point and try and get him in for the bone crunching sessions and pick his brains a little bit and see if there's any deals in the pipeline for UK suppliers. Fingers crossed.
Yes, all the best.
Yes, all the best. We'll see. We'll have a look at our pickups now, boys, shall we?
Have a look.
Pick me ups time now. We're looking at one of our latest pickups since the last episode of the podcast, and I shall start. Big thanks to our friend of the podcast and quiz host, Phil Rapley. A quiz, by the way, that I won yesterday. We haven't discussed that yet, have we? King of the Quiz Legion Hasbro. I won it. Yeah. So
I think Adam took over the introduction where we're probably going to have a little word about that.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. I won. Phil just messaged me and said, I've got a spare Cody. Don't have the ring. Just pay me postage and you can have it. And I did, and he did. So got me a little exclusive Cody Rhodes, which was nice of Phil. So thanks for that, Phil.
How much are you putting it on eBay for?
No, I was just adding this to my collection. I would never do that.
The question is when, not how much.
No, it's staying in my loose collection. I was going to buy the ring just to take that figure. Then I had a ring I didn't need, like everyone who thinks that that they're a collector and a seller has millions of now. I also got a Penta and a Jungle Boy, which I got. WrestleBox had a little sale on their page, so I picked one up from that CW figure factory thingy. And something else has come up in a second. But yeah, there's a 27 quid for both of them, which was, I thought was all right.
Not bad.
Yeah, it's decent enough. I needed both of them, so just need their partners now.
Lovely.
That's it for AEW. Jonny.
I'll since we were quite low on Mattel reveals, I'll bring up the Mattel. I picked up the Warlord, the collector's edition from Smith's. I seen that it came up for sale on a forum or maybe on Facebook, and just knew I needed to buy that one. So, and Smith's very convenient, isn't it? You sort of like just add it to the basket quickly, ship it out straight away, and it's there within a day or two. Easy. You don't have to go hunting for those.
Good service. Comes in a box as well.
Yeah,
not in a bag.
Box and airbags every single time.
Those airbags are the most useless things ever because they're normally too big for the boxes that I send stuff in.
Yeah, they're usually oversized, but they've got the airbags in, so it makes up for it. But
How does it look compared to the other Warlord then?
It's a really good figure. I wouldn't compare it because it's a completely different gimmick, but yeah, I should really open it because I can't see the sides of the pants. See what's. I think it's just.
I just wondered if they changed the frame at all or anything like that, because the other one was perfect for me.
I think it seems to be about the same size, same part. So yeah, I think it's a winner.
Did you not get one, Adam?
No, not got one yet. I've been a bit short on cash this month.
Oh, I should have said I would have picked one up. I'm very excited about it. It would have been a little treat for you. Christmas and that.
Is it still available?
No. Normally, someone posts on every single wrestling group, don't they, on Facebook as soon as it's available. So I'll keep my eyes peeled for you.
You probably can walk into a shop and find it though.
Oh yeah, it'll be in there soon, especially up north. To get all the good stuff up north. Back to me.
Yeah.
Let's have a trip to BCA Town, shall we, boys? One figure that has sort of eluded me for a while, I've never actually seen, but I picked it up on eBay. I did miss out on a Sunny figure, which I was absolutely livid about, but I managed to find the Patriot, which arrived last week. Very good figure. It's in the same format as the Blue Blazer from the Slammers series, so it has a little movement with it. But yeah, that's really good.
It's a shame it's a Slammers. I really don't like the thingy on the back. I think it would have been better as a normal BCA,
Yeah, I know what you mean. I see that if it's better this way than it is the Takamichinuku way, where it's got the slider. And like Dude Love's got one as well. So I definitely prefer the little shelf. I just prefer it just to not have that because you can still move it with its head.
Yeah. You can see that figure being released by Chella or one of these guys soon enough, Zombie or even Mattel, So hopefully we'll see another Patriot at some point.
I hope so. I'm not a big fan of that figure. I think for a masked figure, it's really underwhelming. It doesn't pop for me. There's nothing on it which really stands out and makes me want to purchase it or buy it. It's a bit bland for me.
Cheers, lads. And finally, we've got the Toy Fair mail away Stone Cold Steve Austin inside of a little bag. Yeah, a bag of little crisps, yeah, a little bag of Walkers. But yeah, Austin's inside there. I think there was two of these. There was a couple, but there's an Austin and a Taker, which are the Toy Fair ones, and you also had an Austin Mania 14 or 15 mail away as well as 15 mail away as well.
Could be anything inside there.
It could be a packet of crisps, as you said. It could be anything, but it is very much.
Big book one day.
Not really. I think it's just one that I liked the thought of as having a bag that you don't open. It's quite a good talking point if someone comes round. Or what's in the bag? Mind your business. That sort of thing.
It comes round.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I quite like the idea of it. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be like a money spinner for future. I've got Cody for that, haven't I?
Yep. You'll be they'll be queuing up and come round to be told to mind your own business.
But yeah, that's it for BC. We've also got some more of the Truth Commission, but they're only updated pieces. You don't need to see those.
Fair enough. Speaking of things that some people didn't want to see this week, it is the controversial. I forgot her name.
Paul Nakano.
Paul Nakano.
It's not like
All
you
right.
not have any ball, Johnny.
Yeah, a lot of these have been arriving this week in the UK. We have noticed that a lot of them have dents in the packaging here, and we believe the cause is that they're being stacked on top of each other because this bubble is quite sharp where the nose is, so it's dug into the card there. However, the most controversial fact is the height of this figure, the scale of it, and as we do, I'm going to open it on the pod. We'll have a look.
Don't do it.
No, I think it needs to be done. Just because I have heard, some saving graces about the height of this, in the way that it might actually be the Aldis and the Hayabusa that are out of scale rather than this being really small. There it is. This paint application, the eyes is okay. That's also a problem. I've noticed the other one I have, MOC, does have a bad case of eyes going in the wrong direction, unfortunately. So that's that. So I thought I'll open the one which was looking better. So here we are, a scale against IRS. This is just picked at random, and it's not as bad as it looks against the other Chella figures.
Yeah.
So I'm in the impression it definitely is a bit small. However, I think the Hayabusa and the Aldous are way too big. So it's a bit of a case of both. But they need to sort that out. They should be in scale with their own figures rather than scale with other figures.
Yeah.
And sort out the postage whilst you're there.
To be honest, the postage, I think I ordered quite a few at the same time because I wasn't committed at the time, and then I decided, okay, I'm gonna add Hayabusa, I'm gonna add Bull Nakano and a few others, and I think I ordered maybe around 5 different figures at once. Paid the shipping one, which is actually like £8 or something. It did double, but they are sending them out as they come in, which is also pretty decent of them. So swings and roundabouts. So I've received postage on postage I haven't paid for, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's still too small. It is, even against Hasbro.
Yeah, I think I said to you, John, it would be one that I'd be really happy in displaying with MOC, but there is absolutely no way I would get that out and put it in a display alongside other figures. My OCD would just be out of whack. Couldn't deal with it.
I think I had to see for myself, and yeah, I think some people compared it against the $1 Million Man from Series 1, which was actually really too small, and it looked pretty good, but you can't compare it to one Hasbro figure that was small.
it was tiny, bless him, wasn't it? Is that you done with Chella and for the week?
Me done with everything.
Well, Hasbro pickups then. Shout out to Himesh, who had the In Your House sale from Legion of Hasbro last week. I figured, as is top of our retro review table, it's only right to pick up a Series 3 Big Boss Man. Only because when we were discussing it, it brought back all the feels from Big Boss Man. And finally, after 26 years of knowing that this figure exists, I finally managed to get my hands on one. It's a Ric Flair Hasbro figure. It's one that always eluded me as a child. I never owned it, and now I do.
Congratulations. And how do you feel? Well, actually, we'll save that conversation for another day.
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll wait until we get to Series 5, 6?
Series 6.
Series 6. And I also had a little cheeky raffle win this week, didn't I? With the arrival of... Because we discussed graded, we've discussed signed, we've discussed that we're not really massive fans of either. So why not get both? A 85% Marty Jannetty signed Hasbro figure.
Beautiful. Good win.
It's a very good win. It's a beautiful card. The acrylic case is very nice as well. Nice little display piece. I've got a little blue display now for some reason above my detail display. So I've got like, the retro ring, the Boss Man, the Toy Fair figure, the Blue Blazer, and the Mr. Perfect. I've all just sat in there lovely. So yeah, nice little figure. Can't wait to display him for a few weeks and then sell him. So
Oh, you were going to say open it then?
no.
Can't wait to open it. Yeah, that's a great one. It's probably the only Hasbro that I'm 100% interested in getting MOC. So 20 quid, bob it over. Job's a good one.
Hey, it's a £16 profit for me.
There
we go.
There it is.
Bit 85% as well. It's very. And the other options was like a Winged Eagle belt, an 80% Boss Man, and so on. But I think this being 85% and sign, I think it's just
You chose the right one.
Yeah.
You chose wisely. Speaking of choosing wisely and Hasbro's, Adam, let's come to you.
Yeah, so I've been a bit broke since the last pod. Coming up to Christmas, birthdays, stuff like that. So my pickups aren't stuff that I've bought for myself, but we've got an Fantasy Wrestling League 2.0 competition started on the Legion of Hasbro Facebook page. So I'm just going to run you through some of the prizes very briefly on it. Going to start off with a prize for Chase the Belts, which is the blue Winged Eagle mini belt. It was a very late addition to it. I was
Copyright infringement. Copyright. Chase the belt.
Oh, yes. I thought you were on about the logo then. I was going to go, this isn't a forgery.
He stole my Chase the belt name.
I did. Well, it is a joint competition for FWL, Jonny.
It's not Chase the belt, no.
But yeah, I was randomly looking through my stuff, and for some reason I had two. I don't know if it's one that they initially sent me the wrong bag with. I think that was it. So they just sent another one. So I thought, why not? Why not include it in the competition?
With the wrong bag.
We've got a Kevin Owens retro MOC figure. It's not a perfect card, but will look smashing in someone's collection.
I don't think I've ever seen a good card for Kevin Owens. Every single one I've had's been completely obliterated.
Or smells like pasty.
No, that one was all right.
Oh.
There's a different series as well.
Got an old school customs custom Hacksaw Jim Duggan retro, or Hasbro, should I say. We've got Stars of the Week, who will receive our Fantasy Wrestling League with Legion of Hasbro side plates, customized limited edition belts. What else have we got? Wrestling Trader very kindly donated a Spanish card, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Hasbro MOC. Thank you very much, Wrestling Trader. Very generous of you. In a protector as well. Was
it an Italian card? Did we discuss it was Italian?
Italian, yeah. I knew I'd go with the wrong one. I had a feeling I was going to when I came on. We've got an Ultimate Warrior mug. Beautiful. From Kilncraft. Got three other companies who have donated virtual vouchers. We've got Wrestling Megastore UK. We've got Rock and Roll Collectibles and Fig Pop Shop, who have put prizes in for it as well. So thank you very much for your generosity. And then just bits and bats. You got your FWL hats, which I'm beautifully modelling here. Some very rare trading cards, Gold Series, NWO Series 1. Got the wrestling stickers, WCW cards, bits, bats, and bobs of everything. Managed to get 75 players playing in the game, which takes us through to WrestleMania. So that's probably almost double what I was hoping for. So very happy.
And so should they, with all the prizes available.
I'm sure they will be. A good bunch of lads on there. I think we said before, didn't we, that it was going to be a good group to choose. So it's good that, it's been quite a positive reaction from it. And hopefully get to learn the ins and outs of the games and have as much fun as we do.
Yes.
With it.
What I do.
As you do, being top of the league. That's all, Johnny. Right, so we shall now move on to our Break It Down segment, shall we? So live wrestling is back, which is one of the biggest highlights of the last few months or so. As you guys have been knowing, Johnny's been training wrestling for the last, 18 months or so, Johnny. So, had your debut last week. Talk us through it.
Oh, that's a very specific question.
So your training, your start of your training. When did it start? I said 18 months. You both looked at me as if I was mental. When did you start your training?
I wish I could remember the exact date. I think it was around July or August 2020. And I trained until the end of October, I believe, which is when everything got shut down. And then I think it was back in May 2021. So I've had a big layoff in between starting training and resuming training. So that didn't help. So yeah, I've been training since May this year until, as it is, October now.
So one thing I just wanted to ask, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that, because if you're a wrestling fan as a kid, you always think, oh, I can do that, and you never really get round to it. It seems to be the case for a lot of people, but what gave you that initial step to sort of go, right, I'm going to do this now?
I think it was just seeing it was advertised locally on Facebook that there was going to be wrestling training in the area, the very near area. I know there was things that I would have to get like 2 buses to actually get to. And I was like, I didn't want to make that sort of commitment to go that far. But with this being just a town away, I was able to at least just go and give it a try. And even at the time, I was like, oh, should I, shouldn't I? And I was like, screw it, I'm going for it. I'll give it a go. And I enjoyed the first session, just kept on coming back.
It's it's one of those things that I think you always wanted to do, didn't you? But the opportunity never arises. In your case, it did. If someone's sort of wanting and hesitating over wanting to get into the wrestling industry, got any advice to sort of?
I think it's more open than ever now. As long as you're not afraid to maybe get a little bit hurt or put some effort into train or get into some sort of decent enough shape, go for it. There's nothing stopping you from giving it a try at least. But
sure.
Taking them bumps isn't easy.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. But what was your first one like?
You're supposed to tuck your chin. I didn't tuck my chin. I don't think anyone does in the first one. So you feel a bit winded. You get a bit shocked. It isn't pleasant, but you do learn how to do it and all get used to it. It's probably get used to it's probably a better word, because it does hurt every single time. It just
yeah, I know what you mean. It's sort of so imagine it's sort of like having children. You're probably used to it by the 8th one, but it still hurts, doesn't it? So obviously you had the big debut event, obviously in the build up for that, bricking it, I imagine. Did you have to train specifically for the match, or?
You know what? I had a brief word with my opponent. Spoiler alert, wrestling isn't real. So I have spoke to my opponent before the match. He gave me some ideas of things we could probably do in a private session to try some of these things. One was a head scissors, which was absolutely no problem. I nailed it every time. Another was a springboard crossbody. And I had a little bit of an issue in terms of like which way I was turning and making sure I get the foot on the ropes. And then I was still going to give it a go, but on the day of the show, I went to try in my boots and it was a bit slippy and I wasn't completely confident in nailing it. So I think I dropped that part. But it turned out the match ended up being completely different to what he'd originally wrote down. So it almost didn't matter.
So he was a 16-year veteran.
Yes.
Of the wrestling game. So imagine having that experience in your first match is always going to be
just big shout out to Kevin Williams. Kevin Purdy is his real name. He's from Scotland and he's involved with the FCW Fair City Wrestling, and he's a massive help to me this weekend. So if of course he's probably not listening, but thank you anyway. And look out for
War, I believe he's called, is he?
Yes, that's his heel persona. So he normally plays a babyface whose his gimmick is like a Super Mario gimmick. So I've seen once he rode a referee like Yoshi. So he jumped on the back of the referee and started running around with his Mario tights on. So he does, if he needs to switch it up to a heel, he becomes the Gear of War. And yeah, that's exactly who he was.
That now makes complete sense to me because I saw his merchandise as the kind of Super Mario kind of like it. And then I saw his promo for the match where he was a proper, dark heel Viking almost type character. And I thought, that doesn't mix, but now I completely get it.
Just for full disclosure, Adam was in the audience for it, just like Miss Elizabeth at Mania 7. He was just sort of there cheering on our Jonny. How was it sort of be back into the local wrestling, watching wrestling, Adam?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I've not been to many indie wrestling, to be honest. I tend to go to WWE and NXT UK when it comes around. So this was a whole different kettle of fish for me. But I really enjoyed it. We haven't mentioned the name of the promotion yet. It's Arcadian Wrestling. And yeah, they were in it was kind of sports hall type of thing. Retained the atmosphere, got a lot of the echoing going, a lot of family and friends and things like that there, obviously, like you'd expect. And just a really good, nice event for all the fans. The fans were just properly into it for every single match, just getting on, cheering, booing, proper heel and face wrestling, which is what I miss a lot about the big companies these days.
Yeah, I mean, I think Adam's underselling his role. He did end up coming backstage and worked part of the merchandise and things, didn't you, Adam? So I roped you into doing some of that stuff. So you did get involved as well, and I'm guessing you met all the wrestlers and anything like that. So how was that experience for you?
Yeah, really good. I mean, a proper nice bunch of lads, the proper experienced people. The one main thing about being there at the beginning that was amazing was I watched somebody do a shoulder roll, one of the guys that had been in it for years. And, I'd seen the ring being built. So you're talking about these massive thick bits of plywood with these tiny little mats on top. And it's just so creaky and so loud. And he did a shoulder roll, a diagonal type shoulder roll, back onto his feet. Honestly, there was not a sound from that ring. And that just, it made me smile. It made me go, wow, this guy knows what he's doing. Really interesting to watch everything get set up and working the merch table, got to speak to the fans as they were coming in type of thing, see how excited the kids were about the show. Just a really good event. I'm very pleased for you, buddy.
Did find it weird why everyone was wearing FWL hats in the audience. But, makes sense now. So watching the video backs, also you shared like a little clip of the whole event. It was quite funny to watch the entrances come in, obviously, because it was a lot of the Arcadian guys' first time. Am I right in saying that? So must have been quite nervous for everyone coming out.
I think I was probably the most nervous out of everyone because I knew I was opening the show. I was doing a full singles match, which most of the people from the academy were in a battle royal. So they would have had, smaller roles. Saying that, Harry, who played Sugar Rush at the event, he's only 13 and he was the Iron Man of the battle royal. He came in number 2 and he lasted to the final 4. So fair play to him for that. But yeah, I was very nervous before coming through the curtain. There's a few things that didn't go the way I thought it would, so I was a bit rushed. Like, for instance, I didn't get to speak to my opponent to quite late on the day and to get in the ring and practice a few things. Then almost every time we spoke, something ended up getting changed, or we added something, or something got took away. So I've had about 5 different versions of this match being thrown at me, and I almost got lost. I think the most anxiety was like forgetting to do spots, and so that was like something that the thing that made me nervous. It wasn't going out in front of the crowd. It was relying on my own memory, which confessing I don't think is very good sometimes.
Did you just talk about the high spots, or did you talk the way through the whole match?
It would be like how it's going to open, and then I expected it to be a bit more heat, which heat is like you say he's going to work on my leg. I thought he was going to do a few more moves and dragged out a little bit more, but it was almost like he did a couple of things, and then we moved on to what you call the hope spot, which is where I might get a little bit of a comeback where he cuts me off pretty quickly. It's quite hard to explain to anyone that hasn't worked a match or don't know the proper ins and outs of it, even a basic thing. But you get the main things down, and you still forget everything. So I did.
Was there any unexpected bits in that match, Jono? I seem to remember one quite loud, unexpected bit.
Yeah, so we decided to start the match with a tie-up, as you do, as you should always do, and he was going to push me in the corner and give me a rough on the head, which he did. Then the next part was he's going to do the same again, but this time he's going to give me a slap. And by slap, it wasn't a slap, it was a belt right to the side of my ear, my jaw, everything. I was just so shocked. I couldn't believe how hard it was. Certainly woke me up, and I couldn't eat for a couple of days because of it. My jaw was sore. I still can't really bite down properly. So yeah, that was unexpected. The second thing that was unexpected was that it was going to, sort of bandera is what you call that, me out the ring. I ended up slipping on the ring apron onto the floor, but I did quickly recover by doing the sort of Brock Lesnar jump back onto the ring. So at least I did recover from that.
Fireworks go off, did it? I imagine. So the event as a whole, then. I mean, Adam, you watched the whole thing. Jonny, you were there. I mean, how were the guys sort of doing? Obviously, you were nervous. Was everyone else sharing the same nervousity as you?
Was that a question for me or Adam?
For you.
I think there was a bit nervous, but there's a lot of guys on there that worked several shows before, and and some of the other guys from the academy, as I said, didn't have. They've either worked matches before or they didn't have. I think it was actually just myself and Harry that was a first time. Yeah, I think other people have had some sort of experience before.
And talk us through the finish of the match, if you can. So those that weren't there.
Yes, so this was the worst part of my match, unfortunately, is that we decided to finish it on a crucifix pin, to be more specific. But I overshot. I think I dragged him down too hard, and he flipped over onto his stomach. So I missed the pin on that. So then we were like scrambling things to do. He's called a small package. I messed it up completely. It didn't look like anything like it was, so I ended up in a 2 count. Then I pushed it in the ropes. I called a sunset flip, nailed it to perfection. The referee counted 2, and it was meant to be a 3 count. So this is 3 mess ups. Then after that, picked him up, calls a stunner, hit the stunner, pin 1, 2, 3, and then it was off. So yeah, 3 mess ups on the finish, but 4th time lucky, and I seem to have picked up a new finisher move.
And I think the good thing about that was obviously I was aware of some of the things that were going to happen at the finish, but the crowd weren't. So to the crowd, it just kept looking like, obviously, it's a scrambled finish in a way. I think there'll have only been the kind of eagle-eyed people who'll have picked up the first one. But the other 2, you definitely couldn't tell they weren't meant to be. They just thought it was kind of false finish type of effect. So, even if you mess up, you can still get away with it because nobody knows your plan for the match.
Yeah, that's what they do tell you. Is like if you do mess up, they don't know. Well, they might know you messed up, but they don't know what the plan was. So that's what you get told. Just figure something out. And I was quite surprised that I did remain fairly calm, although, and I even called a spot myself, which worked. Just the referee must have seen Kevin's shoulder up a little bit and end up calling a 2 count.
You got a name for your finisher?
Someone suggests a foregone conclusion.
Did they? That's a good.
And he keeps suggesting over and over.
The foregone conclusion, you should call it.
it remains to be seen whether the stun is a happy accident or whether I'm just going to drop it. But
You did it well, to be fair.
I think I got the arm in. I think I had his arm as well, so maybe we could vary it by holding someone's arm and then hitting the stunner as well. So it could be a little bit.
Get the shoulder and the neck.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe we could mix it up a little.
So, yeah, it would work as a cutter, wouldn't it? Sort of. Yeah, lovely. So, have you got anything planned for the next match, or is it sort of wait until the phone rings?
I do indeed. I've during the lockdowns and stuff, I think there's this relationship between FCW and Scotland and Arcadian wrestling, and I was selected as being one of the guys to go up to Scotland, and that takes place. It will be the 6th of November, so that's at Dundee, Bona Hall, and I think it's going to be sort of a few more people going to be at this show rather than there was at this show, and I will be facing the FWL's own Umar Muhammad.
The tag team partner of mine in the FWL as well. Nice lad, Zuma.
Asian sensation.
It's quite experienced as well, so that's good.
Small world.
Yeah, in a way. But did you enjoy it, being the big question?
I think at the time I didn't enjoy it, and even the day after I was still a bit, funny, but it might have been me hangover because I did go out afterwards for a few beers. But towards the end of last night, when I started seeing the videos, the highlight video with the music and stuff, it really it gave you this good vibe. Everything seemed so happy and like everyone was having such a good time, and it really perked up my spirits and made me feel a bit more proud of what I did accomplish rather than what might have went wrong or how I felt before the match and things like that. And it spurred me on to be a bit more confident and to look forward to this match with Umar in Dundee.
What was it like meeting Adam for the first time?
He looks nothing like he does in this podcast because he usually has his glasses off, so he's almost like a completely different person.
He's not ginger.
And
Don't forget to mention that I'm built like a beast.
I was just about to say, I think he's lost a lot of weight recently as well. So compared to some of his photographs, he's in much better shape. So good on you for that.
Cheers.
Yeah, it's all that merch table work, isn't it, Adam? Making you feel stressed. But yeah, so that's first one in the bag. Obviously, next one coming up. If anyone's in the area, make sure you check it out. And brilliant. I'm glad that you're now enjoying it after not before, and hopefully you've wrestled down south and you can watch it then. Retro review time now. We're looking at all the different Hasbro figures from Series 5. So, Jonny, let's fire across to you, shall we?
Yeah, so if you want to talk about last time, we had Nothing That Troubled the Top 10. Jerry Saggs did enter at number 11, so he was the highest score from Series 4. Brian Nobbs and the British Bulldog also made the top 20, but everyone else missed out. So let's move on. Yep, let's move on to Series 5. We'll start with Hulk Hogan in his wrestling gear and a bandana. And what do you think of this figure?
I think the general consensus for this figure, which I echo, is it's too skinny. It's too pale for Hogan. I'm quite happy that we got normal pants Hogan, but all in all, it's a bit much.
Yeah. So this version I had, I think it's been pretty poor condition. It's quite loose. There's a bit of a sound. I think the arm's completely discoloured, and all the stuff's gone off the bandana. So I don't know if I'm going to maybe look into upgrading that. I've been saying this about every figure I find something wrong with, but it isn't good. Everybody was saying that they want guys in the wrestling gear, but then we get one in the wrestling gear and it's not as good as the one that's in his entrance gear. So bit of a miss, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible, isn't it? You've got to compare it with other versions of him when you get a figure that's like a re-release character, and the other versions of him are far superior to this. From everything, it's way too skinny. Way too pale, like Jamie's already covered. And the action it doesn't fit right for me. I don't see Hogan when I look at it.
Never jabbed, did he?
Not really, no. Well, JJ from the Legion of Hasbro has put wrong shape, move, and tone. He was already on his way out by then. Waste of a figure. He's given it a 5. Sit on the fence more if you want. And Phil Rapley has put made sense having a shirtless Hogan, but he hates that action. So very similar to what we said, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In much respect. So for me, I'm going to give this figure a 6.2. I think as a kid, I was quite happy to have it. It's more of the rarer ones that you'd get. As an adult, I think it displays badly. As a kid, it didn't play great either.
Yeah, fair enough. Adam?
I've got to go much lower than that because it's a terrible figure in all respects. As a kid, as an adult, just from everything about it, I'll give it a straight 4.
Oh, that's a massive downturn. I've given it a 5.8, which is still less than the Legion Hasbro, which overall was a 6.13. So it's not the best, and I think Adam's score will certainly drag it down even further. So
sorry, Hulk.
He's going to be livid at you for that.
Next up is IRS Erwin R. Shyster. Did notice on the group it had a lot of tax puns. People said they'd give it an 8, but then took 1 off for tax, so I didn't know what they meant. So I've considered that a 7.5. So when I did my scores, I made those scores 7.5. So whether you meant 8 or 7, you should have been more clear.
So I think I'd say that as a 7. Yeah, I'd say that as a 7, I think. But 7.5 is amicable enough, isn't it, for the figure? It's not offensive, is it? It's the attire that he wore. Makes it a little bit toyetic. It's good for customizers. If you want someone that's going to be in like street clothes or something, it's good for that. Face-wise, it's a bit horrible, and he's got a bit of a mullet on him, bless him. But I like the action as well.
Yeah, it's I think it's a tale of two halves where the body's good, but the face is quite horrendous, unfortunately.
Yeah, nothing more really to add to that. I didn't like this figure as a kid, purely because IRS was quite a nothing character for me. It's only as an adult that I really started appreciating him as an older teenager and an adult. It is what it is. It's pale, which fit Rotundo a little bit. I personally think the face, it is not great, but it's also not a million miles away from Rotundo. He's got quite a thin, kind of weird, everything together looking face anyway. So I don't think it's a million miles away, but yeah, not my cup of tea as far as the action goes as well.
Yeah, it's not a 4. It's a 6 for me.
David Chow, Legion of Hasbro, has put the perfect addition to MDM and a great feud with Razor. Agree about the action, just wish that he had a briefcase and a Hill Virgil to go with the others. So a bit of fantasy book in there from David.
Interesting.
Also, I pointed out that this is the only Hasbro that has a son that is a world champion, former world WWF champion.
Who pointed that one out?
This guy. I did.
J. Wells.
It was me, yeah, it's J. Wells, not Jamie Wells. Yeah, for me, I don't mind the figure. It's not offensive at all. It's just I'm gonna give it a 6.6 after tax.
Oh God, so what is it then?
it's after tax.
After tax. Oh, fair enough. And Adam?
Pretty much in the middle, nearly. I was going to go 6.2 for some. It's not offensive, but it's not great.
And Legion Hasbro give it 6.1, so right between mine and Adam's scores. As we move on to Jim the Anvil Neidhart in his new Foundation attire. What do you think, Adam, since you've got it on you?
I had quite a soft spot for the new Foundation. I know a lot of people didn't, but I quite liked the tag team of Owen and Jim. As far as the figure, the face-wise, the action of the face, the mouth open and stuff is great. For Jim, the head's not big enough, obviously. He's got quite a big head. and that's not big enough. I love a clothesline figure, and I think with a hard-hitting person like Anvil, you can get away with it. It works. Doesn't really matter whether it's anything to do with his moves. You can get away with it. I really love the boots. The boots are my favourite thing about this figure. The detail in them, the checkered figure. Is it too pale?
Nah. No.
I don't know. I probably would have said slightly yes.
Yours looks a bit paler than mine, though.
Yeah, maybe. But then again, I think you can get away with it. And it is quite slight, even though it's a bit too muscly, it is still quite bulky. The body, you can get away with it.
I think it looks great, the body.
Yeah, I do as well, because Anvil did have a bit of a, like, you don't want to call it a six-pack. It's one of those, when guys have got a bit of beef in them, but they've also got their abs sticking out. It works really well.
Certainly a unique body, isn't it? For ages, this is what I thought Anvil looked like. Because obviously, when I had the figure, he wasn't in WWF for a couple of years after that, until like 95, 96, he came back. So for ages, I thought he just had a really slim head, and this is what he looked like. It was a massive shock when he came back. But all in all, it's just, the head-wise is just not great for me. I'm not a massive fan of the head. But body-wise, it's fine. The tie's a bit weird, but apart from that, it's fine.
Yeah. Regarding the head, I think it's just, the only problem with it is it's just a little small. Otherwise, it's quite a good likeness.
And a bit sharp. But you can pass for a Forrest Gump.
If you turned it around, you could probably put someone's eye out with that goatee.
Definitely.
Yes. I'm going to go Adam first for score, so he hasn't had a chance to give his first yet.
Yeah, of course. I'm definitely not going to rate this figure by starting off by thinking, it should have been Heart Foundation. I'm just going to rate this figure on the merits of the figure. And it's a good figure for me. It's just the head that brings it down. So I think I'm going to go 7.4 for this one.
Very well. Any comments from LOH, Jamie?
There is. Jason Clements has put, he agreed with the comments so far. Thank you, Jason. Didn't know how you knew what we were going to say. Could have done with a different attire completely. In your face, Adam. But as the same as Owen Hart from Series 7, new Foundation attire, foreshadowing there, has the figure in his own collection. Again, would have preferred the Hart Foundation attire, but 5 is his score as a cop-out from Hasbro at the time. Very opinionated is our Jason.
I've got to disagree with that one. I'm more on the side of Adam, whereas I quite like it that it's new Foundation. There's no other figures of Anvil and new Foundation, and the body's perfect and the head's good, albeit just a little bit small. So it is a 7.8 for me.
For me, it's a tough one. I see what you guys are saying. I think it's just, what could have. I'm not going to base it on it. It should have been the Heart Foundation. I'm not going to give it an 8 because of that. I'm not going to say that because it doesn't make any sense. All I'm going to do is base it off the attire there and its tiny little head. 6.8.
Well, you're still very much more generous than Legion Hasbro, which have scored an average 5.74.
Harsh.
It's gone down.
Yeah.
I definitely think 50% of those people will be judging it on the fact that it wasn't Heart Foundation, and I think that's unfair on the individual figure.
Yeah, each to their own. You put it.
That's judging Hasbro, not the figure, though.
You put it in a group. You're gonna have people who will say otherwise, aren't you? And that's their opinion.
And they're wrong.
No, you have your own criteria what you score from, and if one of the criteria is it should have been something else, then that's part of it. So all very valid. As we move on to it's the Macho Man. Oh yeah.
So this is a tough one to mark. Only because, as I said before, I break it down into 2 different things. So I have either a playable ability as a kid and how I like it as an adult. As a kid, I wasn't a massive fan of it, but I still liked playing with it. It was quite fun to do the elbow drop. The little tassels under his arm, they added effect to the elbow drop. Lovely. As an adult, I think display is fantastic. So I think all in all, it's a decent figure for what it is, an action figure. It's good.
I'm quite impressed with. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, I'm quite impressed with the amount of detail that's been put in. Fortunately, nothing on the back of the tights, but there is, you know, some writing there, which is actually pretty neat. You probably can't see it on screen. And yeah, there's a lot of things. There's a heart with a bit at the back, tassels on the jacket. It's a very good entrance attire, Macho Man. The only thing missing is maybe you could have had glasses with it. They got this thing where they might put glasses on the guy in his ring attire, but then they don't put glasses on the guy in his entrance attire. Just a slight miss, but I'm still quite a big fan of this figure.
Yeah, it was actually one of if not the final Hasbro that I ever got, because I just never found this out and about, and I never got it in a shop. So I was always on the hunt for this. So it's got a bit of sentimental value as far as that goes. So I don't view it from a kid as in I didn't like playing with it because it was in its entrance gear, because I didn't have it when I was still playing with them. So I like it, this one. I think it's definitely got loads of detail, which is the plus point for it. I was a big Macho Man fan at the time of this attire, which is good. I don't like the hand, not the fist hand, the other hand, because the fingers break way too easy. Is there any meaning that I'm missing behind that hand, or is it just because like Beefcake had that hand or something, so they've redone it?
I can't think of any reason. It's not even like, because Macho Man used to, like, you know,
do his
finger
so yeah, that bit completely doesn't work for me. I was hoping you guys would be able to sway me out of that.
All I could think is he does that sometimes, doesn't he? Where he's like,
it's not the same though, is it?
It's not the same, like, but I mean,
a Nakamura sort of hand.
Yeah, but generally, it's a nice figure.
It is.
Legion of Hasbro, Sam Varney has put 10 for me purely because it was my favourite figure as a kid. As much as we want to say, we review it on the figure and not what it means nostalgia-wise, you can't take nostalgia out of the figure, unfortunately. And certain figures are going to bring that back, which we're going to see for the later series as well. So, perfectly acceptable 10 if it was your favourite figure as a kid. And let's have a look. Gavin Denny comments every single one. He put 7. Nice, colourful outfit, but never liked the wings to play with or to look at. So, straight 7 from Gavin.
And see them being a hindrance for playing with, yes.
Definitely.
I'm going to kick off scoring. It's 1 below Jim Neidhart for me, so it's 7.7.
I'll go 1 below you, 7.6.
Yeah, I'm going to go above the pair of you. I'm going to go 8.1. I think it's definitely a 5 for display, 100%. It's it's an incredible one to have on your shelf. Colours pop on it, and they even recreated it in the latest Ultimate Edition, didn't they? So
yeah, it's certainly possibly one of the highest of the series, and Legion Hasbro scored 7.61. So high enough, but nothing that's going to break the top 10, I don't think. As we move on to I'm the Mountie.
And there's me with Rick Martel already. Yeah, so the Mountie, all in all, did any of you guys obviously have this as a kid, and did either of you have the shock stick as a kid?
Well, yeah, I've got a story for that, is that I definitely had this as a kid. I definitely got it on card. I got it for Christmas, but I have never in my lifetime knew I had an accessory with this. So I'm thinking whoever opened the figure, whether I did or a parent did or something like that, it just got thrown out immediately, because I don't remember ever having it as a kid.
Yeah, I definitely did. It was one of my favourite things to do, was to shock the opponent.
I think, yeah, because it's black, the shot stick, and so was the backing card. So I don't think you're alone in not noticing it was there. But so I think I must have got one second hand, because I never had a shock stick as a child either.
Yeah, it's one of the few memories I have. Definitely had it like for Christmas one year in its packaging, and nope, never had the stick. Anyway, moving on.
The figure itself. Yeah, good.
Now, so this is another figure in its entrance attire. I think it is pretty much complete in terms of everything's included. It's got the coat, the hat, and the glasses. So we are onto good stuff there. What does bring it down is actually the accessory. So usually the accessory bring it down, but this is completely inaccurate, and because it was usually red and yellow. So I don't know why it wasn't on this occasion.
My favourite thing about this figure is the dents in the hat. Don't know why I like them so much. I'm just a big fan of that little detail.
That is good amount of detail, and you're right for pointing that out, Jamie.
Thanks, Jonathan.
I think it's great detail, even in like the jacket and stuff, where there's where it folds and things like that. They really put a lot of effort in this one.
Yeah, that's where I was going to start. It's like a lot of them that come in like big, heavy entrance attire tends to be really big on top, and then you've got these tiny, skinny legs underneath. Whereas this one is the exact opposite. The coat fits like a glove on him, which I think is a massive plus point to Hasbro on this one. The shock stick colour thing, I can completely see where you're going. As a kid, it didn't bother me, obviously, whatsoever. I used to use the mounted for run-ins quite a lot, so I wasn't really bothered about having him in ring wrestling. His hat didn't break half as much as Slaughter's, which is always really good. It's a great figure for me. Really enjoy it. Love the Mountie as well. Someone you love to hate.
Yep. And Legion Hasbro.
Let's go over to Clark Gilmore. He said something kind of meh about this figure. 7 out of 10. Accessory saves it from fading into the nether regions.
I think the accessory drags it into the nether regions. I don't think it's. I think there's quite a lot to it. And it's not. I don't know. I have to disagree with that one, Clark.
Steve Holwell has put 7.5 bulletproof Hasbro. I'm not sure what that means, but I sort of get what he means at the same time. And Joey Knight's also commented. Let's give Joey Knight a shout out. He's got a figure coming out soon. He must know about stuff. He's just put Glorious Canadian Hero, 9.1. So yeah, I agree in the sense of the figure itself. It brings back a bit of sentimental value for me as a kid. I remember him being a great heel when you're having a little play with the figures. So, and I said the extra detail on there is just that extra little bit of niceness on the figure. For me, I'm gonna give it a 7.9.
Well, since you said that, I've already wrote it down. I'm going to join you exactly on 7.9.
Ooh.
And I was going to go one more this time, straight 8.
We're going to have a full house.
Unfortunately not from the Legion Hasbro, which overall scored at 7.47, so below what we said.
Still not bad.
It's not bad. No, not for them.
It's bulletproof.
Yeah, it's bulletproof. Right, now you can get your Rick Martel out, Jamie.
Oh, hello. I will. Well, Rick Martel's currently in the loft, my figure. I also didn't get him down, but I've got a childhood Rick Martel figure, which is in a really battered packaging. I love this figure. Just a clarification for you two. It brings back a great bit of memory for me. I like the look of it. I think the colours are really good in it. Might not be overly accurate, but all in all, I think this is a fantastic figure.
What's not accurate about it?
Well, accurate in the sense of it should have been blue. That sort of.
You
know what I mean? Yeah, I know what you mean, but I mean that's the one what everyone wanted was the blue one. But for me, the pink one for me does it.
I disagree with that because of the time it was released. He was wearing pink. Certainly, if you were going to talk about Series 1 or 2, he was wearing the blue then, but it was long and pink by this time. So definitely the right choice of attire. A lot of people said it should have come with accessories, which is a fair point. They could have had something maybe the shirt on top,
and the badge.
And if they're going to have arrogance, they need to have an open hand to carry it. Because I've seen the guys have made a good job of creating these custom ones, but when you attach it to them with a piece of tape, it just doesn't look right, or elastic band or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, sorry, just one more thing. I agree with Jamie. I've got a lot of fond memories of this one myself. I think it plays really well. It's in the same category as Jerry Sags for me. In terms of playability, he was always ones I always enjoy playing with because of the moves that they make, especially after my Macho Man got broke, which is in the same style. So this became one of my top guys.
I have no idea where your comment came from, Jamie. I mean, I was going to say same as Jono, perfect attire, kind of pink. It's exactly how I remember the model and how I want to remember him. Weird neck, don't like it. Don't like this weird half turn he's doing with his neck. Face is really good, actually. I think it's one of the really better Hasbros. They've kind of nailed his kind of arrogant look more than anything. I disagree with you both about playability. I don't like his legs. I think the legs makes this figure really difficult to play with, to do moves on, to do his finishing move. You can punch and hit as well as you want and stuff, but the legs always ruined it as a kid for me.
Just to clarify, I never said that pink was a bad choice for it. I said the opposite, actually. I said that I'm glad that it was in pink, not in blue, like some of the Legion of Hasbro people have said they'd prefer.
Definitely said the opposite of that, Jamie.
I said I enjoyed the pink. Well, listen back, but I'm saying that's my opinion anyway. Is that I like the pink.
That was the wrong attire.
No, it's not the wrong attire.
Yeah,
Well, listen back and you'll see, and you'll eat your words, because I like the attire.
You won't listen back. You never listen back.
Obviously, I have to edit it.
Yeah,
I always listen back.
I've noticed you don't listen it back.
Yeah, so Robert Mitchell was put. He does like this figure. He's got a bit of the Bret Hart facial thing going on, but overall, good interpretation of the Rick Martel character. So yeah, I think the general consensus of the figure just seems to be that it's a good all-round figure, a good representation of him. Maybe just missing the accessory, as Johnny said earlier. The open hand would have been nice, but
head loses colour as well.
Head loses colour. That's what you get for a model. The bulimia.
Okay.
What's next?
Also, the head tilt, I don't think it's too bad at all. I think it's hardly even noticeable. So.
Phil did mention it. Why out of all the figures that they choose to not have sunglasses was this one not on the list?
I'd disagree with that. He wasn't wearing sunglasses at this time.
Was he not?
No.
I don't think so. I think he came out without sunglasses when he was wearing the pink. He did at times. It's a tough one. I can't remember.
What's next?
Scores.
Just scores. But I'm thinking about this Martel now.
Well, I'll just give you my score of 8.4 then.
Right?
Yeah, it's just a bit of nostalgia in there for me.
I'm going to go much lower because I didn't like the playability of the figure, so 6.9 for me.
Oh, that is disgraceful. You need to get out this review now, Adam. You've just brought too many figures down.
What was his finish out of interest? I can't remember what. That was it. I thought it was a sleeper hold for some reason. It's not. Boston Crab.
That's it.
Underrated movie. I always find Boston Crabs was a go-to as a kid. I used to like a single leg crab as well. Lance Storm when I used to log that in.
I think he did that sometimes as well.
I used to like it. Sorry for the side note, but I think Lance was doing to drop down and then catch the leg as he dropped down and then rolled through. That always looked good.
I've gone off on a tangent here. I'm going to go off on even more one. The single leg Boston Crab was originally planned for my match, but it never got used. One of the several changes that happened to the match. Anyway, I've given it 8.6. Adam, can you remind me your score?
6.9.
You've gone up, haven't you? You was definitely set 6.8 before.
Well, why don't you have a rewatch when you're watching the last? It's definitely 6.9.
I don't watch this crap.
He listens.
Yeah.
Right, that's it for the day.
You sure we've got a psycho?
Not today. Jay Wills did post on Legion Hasbro, but I can't do more than 6 today, I'm afraid, Jamie.
Oh, no, it's fine.
What did LOH score model?
Sorry, mine?
No, what did LOH score?
Ah, good point. They scored it 7.04, so quite low themselves as well.
Yeah, it's quite close to your score, Adam. Yeah, it's close enough, but it's not a bad figure. I just don't like the actual. That's my favourite mold of a figure. I'd say would be the legs together, arms one.
Yeah. I can't. Well, I do understand about the legs, but I don't think it's a big problem, especially when you compare it to a jumper or another figure like that.
Finishing move though, hard to do.
You can't really do many finishes with these.
No. It made a really good striker for the Hasbro football game as well. His legs got a good bit of bend on the old ping pong ball. Right, so that's it, boys, for the episode. We've covered quite a lot today. Everything from Flashback's debut to Rick Martel's outfit choice. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks. Look out for interviews. Jonny, thanks for your time.
Gracias.
And Adam the Wrestling Man.
Merci.
All the best.